I'm a public historian, so what I'm interested in is how historians put history to work in the world, how we make history both publicly accessible, how we engage publics, and how we train them to think about, how we train students and communities to think about the past in a way that draw more people into learning about history. So, and I have two or three kinds of strands of my research. The first strand of my research is digital history. One of the projects I developed as things closed down for the pandemic was titled A Journal of the Plague Year, an archive of COVID-19, which I believe may be the world's largest digital archive of the pandemic. It's a kind of extraordinary collection of people's thoughts about how the pandemic shaped their lives. We started collecting in March of 2020 and now have nearly 20,000 digital objects. And so that's an example of the kind of work I do. And most of the work was in fact done by undergraduate and graduate students, not just at ASU, but at universities around the world. We probably had, I don't know, about 100 and 125 different curators or curatorial teams working on the exhibit. This speaks to the nature of both public and digital history, which are fundamentally collaborative. So a second strand of my work is thinking about monuments and historical memory. So how do we remember the past, specifically in monuments? And I'm interested in how monuments around the globe, around World War II, or immigrant groups to the United States have been constructed, not just in the United States, but in places around the world. So an example of that is I'm working here in Europe this summer, or this fall, as a public historian in residence at the University of Luxembourg. And I went to Bastogne to explore the monuments that are there around the Battle of the Bulge. And one of the really cool things I discovered is that in 1947, the United States and the French government created something called the Liberty Road, which is literally a series of markers, over 1,000 of them, that run from Europe into Belgium and the Netherlands and Luxembourg, that document the movement of American troops. It's an extraordinary collection, but like many monuments, it's been forgotten. So I'm working with ASU students, again, graduates and undergraduates, to document that work in a project called World War II Monuments. And so we have students out telling stories about monuments, and that work is managed by students. So it's another example of the kind of research I'm doing. I also write about monuments in a kind of more academic way, but a lot of my work is quite collaborative. So I've been at Arizona State and at Shippers for about, I think, 8 or 9 years now. I've been here long enough that I don't recall when I started. So a lot of my research is collaborative, and I look, when in the classes I teach, which are often public history courses, digital history courses, or courses about landscape or cities, to try to get students to actively engage, not just the past through books, but the landscapes in which they live, whether it's developing a walking tour for Tempe that brings the city's history to life, going to a museum and exploring how to think about and write about objects, or simply finding oneself in a natural environment and looking at the ways that humans have marked it and have marked and developed our cities. So I'm always looking for ways to take my courses out of the classroom and out of the books we read into the landscapes that surround us.